Yo.
This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Yeah.
Geek Speak, the definitive 365 cut. These are the meaningless ramblings of a Scottish redone whore and a pissy ex-video store clerk. Their ongoing mission is to set right the movie wrongs. They're gonna need a bigger podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 365 Flicks podcast. Yay! And this is a very, very, very special episode of the 365 Flicks podcast. This is actually the first episode in a run, a sort of a mini marathon series, if you will, running from the start of this week, Monday, into Friday, where we will be talking about Homeless Ashes. We're going to be talking about Marc Zammits, goddammit Marc Zammits, Homeless Ashes, the passion project that took him about 4.5 years to get done and get made and done, and it's finished, and we have an fully edited product. And Chris and I are heading down to London on Saturday, to go and see the finished project. It's like a big cast and crew screening, if you will. Can't wait to see it. This is going to be an amazing movie. We're so looking forward to this. We started this podcast 5 years ago, 4.5 to 5 years ago, and one of the first kind of projects that we got into and started looking out, keeping our eye on and looking into was Homeless Ashes. It was an Indiegogo campaign that Marc Zammits was running, and it just looked interesting. Like, there was something about this project that immediately took me, and you know, it's like talking about homelessness, which is something you don't see in any film, let alone independent film. You don't see it very often. Domestic abuse, which is dealt with kid gloves in most movies, you know, and so it's a story that instantly grabbed me. And I saw Angela Dixon was going to be in it, who we kind of know from the likes of Tom Payton's movie Black Site and Never Let Go, which was a fantastic film. She's got upcoming Adventure Boys that I can't wait to see as well. So she was in there. Lou Temple's in there from The Walking Dead, series 3, I think it was, with the prison. He was awesome in there, but also like a Rob Zombie alum. Like, if you watch Rob Zombie's movies, which I'm a fan of, I unashamedly admit to that, but I am a fan of Rob Zombie's movie. Lou Temple's been in a few of them, so I know Lou Temple. I've seen him around the block. And then absolute British stalwart actor Jason Fleming, who needs no introduction. The man is an amazing British actor. He's been in just about everything. Love Jason Fleming, absolutely love him. So all these guys were like attached to this film, and then you kind of look down the list, and there's like all sorts of like British independent actors that I've seen over the years, and you know, you see them all around the place. They've all been in things that you would instantly recognise their face, and it's like, holy crap, this low budget independent movie that this guy's putting together, and as a total passion project, first feature film, it's got like a ton of talent, an absolute ton of talent. So yeah, Chris and I are going to go, and we're going down to see the movie next Saturday. May the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day. That is the day we're going to see it. We cannot wait. But what we decided to do was, in the run-up, we would do like a mini marathon. Chris has missed a few of these episodes. I've been flying solo on some of these interviews because getting them together has been a bit of a rush. Let's get it done. Let's make it work. So he is missing for some of these interviews. But that's cool. We made it work. So, yeah, you can still go on Indiegogo, because even though the movie is done and finished and whatnot, they still need to do like the press tour. They need to do like the marketing campaign. They need to take it to the festivals. They want to take this movie to Cannes. As far as I'm aware, it is actually going to Cannes, which is amazing. Fantastic. But there's like all sorts of festivals that they want to put this movie in, and then of course they want to get the DVD released, they want to get the Blu-ray released. You want as many people to see this movie as humanly possible. And so there is still an Indiegogo campaign on the go. If you go to Indiegogo and look for Homeless Ashes, or if you go to Facebook or Twitter, look for Homeless Ashes the movie or Homeless Ashes movie, there'll be links all over the place. Mark is an absolute crowdfunding professional. He knows what he's doing now, so you will see it everywhere. He will make sure it's there for you. Throw a couple of quid at it, give what you can. If you were going to go and, I don't know, buy the latest big budget DVD, but you're not sure which one to buy, put the money into this instead. There's too much choice out there, so why not put the money into this? But yeah, we cannot talk enough about this film. I've enjoyed speaking to some of the guys that are part of the project as well, and we try to vary it up a little bit with some of the guests we've got. We're going to be speaking to some of the guys at the screening as well, so we'll get some stuff from there as well. We will not just give you the journey up to the movie, we will also pass that as well. We're going to be promoting it like a sumbitch anyway. So a little bit about us first. So we are 365 Flux Podcast. As you know, you can find us on your iTunes, on Stitcher, Libsyn, any other podcatcher that you get your podcasts on, and put them in your ear holes. We are absolutely everywhere. On those things, there's always a way to rate and review this podcast. Please do that. It helps. Every little bit does help, and it's nice that people leave reviews. We got quite a few reviews on iTunes, and we appreciate every single one of them. It just helps people find us. We're on some amazing networks like the Danger Entertainment Network. You'll have heard the bumper right at the start. We are on the Tangent Bound Network. We're on Ricker Radio Network. We don't really speak about them anymore. Geeks Worldwide, Geeky Antics Network Global. We're still occasionally a little part of that. I'm sorry, Yomar, that we kind of fail on that a little bit. But we're in all those different places. But first, let's just get into this. These are interview episodes. So, first up for this episode, number 1, part 1 of the mini marathon to Homeless Ashes, we have Dean Maskell. Dean was great. I loved speaking to Dean. I had such a blast. It was the first one we did. Even looking at his IMDb, I knew a lot of films I'd seen him in, so I knew his face and I knew who he was, and I couldn't wait to get into this. And also in Homeless Ashes, he plays the father of the lead character Frankie, who sees some tricky things at home when he's a child, and then ends up leaving home because of it, and that's sort of where the story takes off. But Dean Maskell plays Stuart, his father. Some extremely, extremely intense scenes that we kind of get into a little bit. And Dean was a joy. He was an absolute joy to speak to. I would happily have him on again. Hopefully we will get him on again at some point. You will have seen his work before. But yeah, Homeless Ashes, he is a bit of a shitbag in it. Yes, he is. Another movie that he'll be in soon enough, we talk about it a little bit, 24 Little Hours by Paul Knight and Diane, his wife, the absolute dream team of social media marketing, by the way. Their film is coming shortly as well. They had a bit of a screening earlier. Apparently they've done some ADR, so we might be hearing a little bit more soon. Can't wait to see 24 Little Hours as well. Dean is in that as well. But here is the chat with Mr. Dean Maskell.
only company you keep is an old fool, then perhaps a journey home is exactly what you should be doing. You're lucky enough to have a home to go to.
So, tonight on this episode, which I believe will be our first Homeless Ashes run into going to see the premiere, I have the wonderful Dean Maskell, who plays Stuart in the movie.
How are you? You all right, buddy?
I'm not bad. It's just really bloody hot. Oh, man. You know...
You look like you're struggling a little bit in the studio there.
It's the beard. It's the beard. I know.
Okay. Getting your sweat on. Where's Chris? Why's the chair empty next to you?
The chair is empty because Chris, I am assuming, had one too many Diet Cokes last night.
Yeah, too many. Yeah, I bet.
See, I had a few, but I'm still here to do this because I'm a professional, you know. But I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be talking to the pictures behind you. Yeah.
We have some great pictures, by the way. We have Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead signed picture.
Yes, I see that.
We have the man inside the Vader suit, Darth Vader, David Proust. We met him.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I'm not name dropping. I'm sure you could name drop better people than I could, but. But yeah, Dean is on the show tonight to talk about Homeless Ashes, where Marc Zammits' passion project of the last 4 to 5 years, which we have been following and tracking all the way since the podcast began, really. So we're finally going to get to go and see the movie on the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. So that's nice little Star Wars omens for this movie. And I wanted to get guys on to talk about the film and to talk about it. So we've got Dean tonight, who is a very, very integral role to the movie. One might say the catalyst of what happens. But So Dean, this is your first time on the show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came into the industry and what kind of led you to Homeless Ashes?
Okay, well, I've been in the industry quite some time now. Not really film or TV and film. That's probably only been in the last 5 to 4 years because I actually trained in musical theatre, which you've seen a little bit of a character by playing Homeless Ashes. You wouldn't expect that from someone that trained in musical theatre. But yeah, no, so I've been in the industry since I was since I was 8 years old. I first started off in The Wizard of Oz. It was a bit of a lucky audition, one of those auditions I went to. My mum was looking after my cousin at the time, and she took him to the audition, and one of the producers come out and said, "Come on, it's your go." And I was quite shy back then, and my mum was like, no, he's here for his cousin. And he went, come on, come in. And I went in, and the rest is history, really, you know. And from there, I got into the show. From there, after the show, I was in the following show after that, Sinbad, and yeah, it just rolled on from there. And it become a passion for me, acting and performing, and I enjoy it. I love it, you know. So yeah, that's a big passion for me.
So I'm guessing you can hold a tune.
I can. Please don't ask me to now. Mind you, I've got some water there. I might give you a song. No, yeah, no, I can. But as I say, I've not done much theatre for a while. The last casting I had was for The Bodyguard in the West End, actually.
Nice.
Didn't get it. Bit gutted. But yeah, that was a couple of years back now. But I'd love to get involved. So if anyone's watching that can get me back there, let's talk. Let's get back there.
Nice. So you have I noticed some of your IMDb credits. I was having a little look through earlier, and there's a couple of things I want to ask you about, because I've seen some of these things. There's a lot of like British movies that if you know your British independence, you've seen, you know, like the Essex Vendettas and stuff like that. Like we've seen some of them and everything. But one of the ones I wanted to talk to you about was I think it was a TV show or a movie called Knobheads.
Knobs. Yes,
what
Knobs.
What the hell is Knobs?
Well, Knobs was... I met a guy called Joseph Sultana, and it was something that he wrote years ago and entered it into a competition. And when I met him, we was talking, he was getting on really well. He had a film at the time. And I think it's being made, actually, called Reaper Shadow. And we were talking, as you do, and you start talking about scripts and bits that you've done and bits that you've written in the past. And he told me about Knobs. And, you know, straight away you hear the title, which it didn't have to be the working title, but we went with it. And, yeah, it was he had a sense of humour like me, definitely. And we just clicked and we changed things around a little bit. And, yeah, we done the pilot. And the pilot went well, but yeah, I mean, Knobs is Marc Zammits in that as well, actually. He is, and yeah, so you better ask him about that one. But yeah, no, it was good fun. It was good fun. But yeah, Joseph, I've not seen him for a long time actually, but I wish him luck on Reaper Shadow. I know he's got that coming. But yeah, Knobs was fun. It's
just like I only really bring it up because I'm looking at your IMDb. I'm seeing a lot of like British independent gangster movies and everything.
Yeah.
And then you're on about getting your start in like theatre acting and everything, singing and dancing on the stage. And then I see Knobs, and I'm like, I'm definitely going to have to ask about that.
Well, it's because I do have this comedy side to me. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to think that my friends, my family, people that know me very well, they all say, you know, you're a funny guy, and I like to think I am funny. But for some reason, when I'm even with my agent and my casting bracket, I keep getting put into these tough guy roles. Yeah. And I've really tried to, as I say, I've spoken to my agent, we tried to pull away from that a little bit to do more fun stuff, more funny stuff. But Knobs was something that I was part of writing, so, of course... Yeah. My agent wasn't involved in that, but yeah, I would like to do more funnier stuff. I certainly would like to do more live performance, more theatre, go back to my roots. But yeah, we seem to make a lot of in the independent film world, and that's you know, I have enjoyed playing those roles, and I do enjoy them. But you know, time for something different a little bit. But I think time for something different now. But the reason I took Stuart on. Which I'm sure we're going to go into a little bit more in a bit, because it's okay playing the tough guy towards men, you know, fellow gang members from other gangs, but when you're with the whole domestic violence and being nasty towards my wife Abby and my son Frankie, you know, Homeless Ashes, when I read the script, I knew it was something totally different. I enjoy those roles, I do. So all is good. All is good.
So yeah, let's talk about that. The role of Stuart, the role of Homeless Ashes. It's what we're here to do. This is a Marc Zammits passion project for 4.5 years. We've already mentioned that a couple of times. We've mentioned it many times on the podcast as well. How did you come to Homeless Ashes? You've mentioned sort of. You heard about the role. It was a good role for you to go into, something different. But how did Marc approach you with Stuart?
Well, I actually I knew of Marc for many years. He trained with a friend of mine, Lucinda, and I got to meet Marc when we was in a car on our way to a charity do up north for a young girl called Ebony, and. It was about 4 or 5 hour drive, maybe a little bit more, and we was talking about this film that he had this idea of, Homeless Ashes, and he was telling me a little bit about it, and, you know, and it is the story is amazing. The story is amazing of Homeless Ashes, a really, really strong and great idea. And I said, you know what? I said, I'd really like to be considered when we, you know, when we get back to London and stuff, and, you know, be considered to have a chat and get a casting possibly. And, you know, it all went from there really. So, yeah, I mean, when you say a passion project, it's, I don't know anyone else in the indie film world that has gone at something like he has. I mean, my God, his missus must be, she must be fed up a bit now herself. You know, he's gone 100% in this, and, you know, I'm proud of him, and I think he's done himself proud, and everyone that's backed the movie, backed the film with their personal money, will be proud of him for what he's actually finished and done.
Yeah, man. Like I say, we've been following him, and it's like crowdfunding for the next part, and then it was going like 3-4 months, and then crowdfunding for the next part, and I'd said to Chris, my co-host, a few times, you know, if that was me, like I tend to think I'm quite a passionate lad, but if that was me, after 2 or 3 years, I think I would have given up, you know. But he has absolutely put his heart and soul and everything into this film.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, there's a little bit of a joke. I WhatsApp him every now and then and go, "Oh my God, not another campaign. What are you up to?" But you know what? With Marc, he fully committed to this, fully, and he promised all the perks for the backers. Everyone that's backed in some way, there's a perk there for them. So he couldn't let anyone down, and I really cannot believe how many people. And we're not just talking, when people do Indiegogo campaigns, which I'm sure you know quite a lot about, you know, it's normally your auntie that's got a few quid stashed in the bank, and it's normally your mum and dad and your friends. But this has gone worldwide. You know, people in India, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, you know, everywhere around the world, people have popped up because they've seen his trailer on social media. They've seen the campaign on social media. He's got a very big social media presence. So yeah, he's done amazingly well with it. And as I say, because every campaign there was more and more people backing it, so the snowball was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he couldn't stop, and he didn't stop. And you know, we've now got a finished film, and as you know yourself, the screening is at BAFTA on the 4th of May, which I'll see yourself and Chris, if you can get out of bed. Lucy's over. I'll see you both there.
You will do. So, without going too far into any sort of spoiler territory or anything, because we want people to watch this. It's a movie with two massive, I'm sure there'll be more than two, but there's two huge sort of current issue storylines in there. Can you tell us a little bit about your role in the movie of Stuart?
Well, I am Frankie, who I'm Frankie's dad. Marc Zammits obviously plays the older Frankie, but young Hector Bateman is young Frankie, my son. And I have my wife Abby, played by Angela Dixon, and I'm just not a very nice guy. It was really hard to be horrible to Hector, to be fair. You know, it was tough to be horrible to Angela, and I will never forget those days in Wimbledon. We filmed on a set in Wimbledon, where I've never, and I probably shouldn't say this, I've never walked away from a job thinking I literally couldn't have done any more. I literally gave that everything I got. You know, there was people crying on set after we'd finished, because it was such an emotional roller coaster. And as I say, I'm not going to spoil it and tell you what happens. But yeah, it was amazing. We actually done rehearsals at the Actors Centre in London. Me, Marc, Angela, and Hector. And from there, even sitting at that table, and I'd never met those guys before. Obviously, I knew Marc, but Hector being a young kiddie actor, who is an amazing actor, by the way. I mean, wow, he was amazing to work with, and he's gone on Homeless Ashes to do some great things, and he still is doing brilliant things, and I expect huge things from him. He's got a huge career in front of him, definitely. But yeah, it was powerful, and I knew it was going to be powerful. And then obviously you don't get to see the playback when you're on set, because we were staying in characters, because it was so emotional. It's always nice every now and then when you're working, when you're acting on screen, to watch some playback, to see what you've got, to see the shots that you're getting. But we kind of kept away from that. So it was only at the ADR a couple of months back that I went to that I got to see a few bits. And yeah, I mean, wow, yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. As an actor, whenever you watch your work back, you always feel, you know, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I could have changed that, or I don't like, you know, the way I done that. But yeah, it grabbed me. And my biggest fear is that walking out of the cinema, there's going to be a lynch mob waiting for me to attack me, because I am so horrible in the film. But yeah, I get what's coming to me. I suppose that's what I would want to say.
The thing about that is, though, like, if you do, you're not going to have a lynch mob, you're really not. But if you do get that sort of reaction, you've done an incredible job, and that's sort of what it's kind of what you're going for.
100%. It had to be real. I'm sure you've been able to watch films before, and you've all taken on. I didn't believe that really. It wasn't that real, and I can promise you that it's real. And because, as I say, with Marc and the social media, I know when you touch on domestic violence, and there's not lots of films that do. I think a lot of writers, filmmakers try to keep away from it because it's a topic that is very dangerous to touch on for many reasons. And even the homelessness side of things with homeless ashes, there'd be people like, why? And there has been, I'm not lying when I say this. There's been, why are you making a film about homeless people? It's because it's awareness. Yeah. It's getting it out there. And as I say, I'm proud of everyone that's been part of this. I can't thank the backers enough for making this happen. And we hope we make you proud with what we've done.
So when you're going, like, I don't want to get too into it or anything, but like when you're going into that space of the way you, like you say, you treat young Hector or you treat Angela, is there was there any sort of film performances or any performances before that you looked at and thought, right, I could maybe, or what did you draw on as an actor to do that?
I kind of like Ray Winston, Neil Mouth, and I'm sure, and there's a guy, Chris Guest, who's an actor, and he was actually on set that day, and he was like, "You nailed that. That was Ray Winston, Neil Mouth, crazy." And a few people said it actually, and that's kind of where I was doing my research. You don't need to swear. Okay, I swear a little bit. Nothing like Ray Winston does in Neil Mouth. Yeah, it's I kind of watch those films, and as I say, there's not many films out there where there's a lot of domestic violence in. So the research was tough, but yeah, I just knew I had to be horrible, And as I say, looking at little Hector and knowing little Hector, it was tough. But yeah, I believe we done the job as a family, because it's very much early on in the film, and you need the film to carry on, start strong, in the middle strong, in the end strong, and that's exactly what we've achieved. All the characters, everything that I've seen, talking to Marc, talking to the editor, they're just so proud of everything that's happened and the performances everyone put in.
The movie looks incredible. I mean, the trailers that we've seen, the stills that we've seen, the DOP Richard Oakes, who we've had him on a couple of episodes ago to talk about his upcoming movie. What an eye that man has! Like, just as a DOP, is incredible.
He is absolutely incredible. As you say, it's the eye that he's got. Everything that he shoots. He can make a small budget look like a big budget, which, I know there's lots of DOPs out there that can do that, but he just has this eye, and I've worked with him a few times. I worked with him on a project, I didn't know him at the time, but he edited a project I'd done many years ago where I had a few bad lines in, not swearing, but very cheesy lines, should we say, and he come up to me on Paul Knight's film, 24 Little Hours, which he was the DOP. I played Dimitri in that film. And he said one of the lines to me, and I thought, how the hell does he know that? Because I knew exactly what he meant when he said it to me. And I thought, no. And he said, I edited that. He said, I cannot believe you're the same guy. He said, because obviously he shot Stuart and homeless actors. He said, I can't believe you're the same actor. But yeah, no, Richard Oakes, he's superb. And he's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. great DOP. But yeah, really professional at what he does, and again, I imagine he's going to go on to do some fantastic things in the future, and I wish him all the best with Hosts. Is that what he was on the show talking about? Yeah, it looks so cool. I mean, the trailers he puts out there, the work that he does, as I say, it looks like he's had a lot of money to play with, and he doesn't have a lot of money, but I'm sure very soon someone will be putting a lot of money his way to do projects. Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully I'm part of it.
So
please, Richard.
It's not exactly going to be. I mean, I don't want to put a damper on it or anything like that, but this movie it does tackle two major issues: is the homelessness and the domestic abuse side of things. So, how do you think people are going to take to Homeless Ashes when they finally get to see it?
That's a good question. And it's I won't say it's tough to answer. I mean, homelessness never gets touched in films, really. Never. You might see the odd homeless guy here or there, and it's always, for me personally, whenever you see homeless people, we have this mad vision that they're either on drugs or they're either drinking heavy, and it's really not true. Because even when Marc done his research, I mean, in one of the early campaigns, Marc done a video where he's actually out on the streets in London. I'm not even sure if you ever see that. One of the guys in that video is a guy called Lee. And one day I was in London, I come out of Blackfriars Station, and he was sitting outside. And I walked up to him and I was like, "You're Lee, right?" He was like, "Yeah, who are you?" I think he probably thought I was a policeman. And I said, "Listen, I'm Dean. I'm one of the actors in a film called Homeless Ashes." And straight away he said, "Oh, yeah, I know Marc. Marc bought me some birthday cake because it was his birthday in the campaign video, right?" So I was like, yeah, that's it. I said, "Do you want to watch the video?" I said, because he shot you, didn't he? Yeah. I said, "Do you want to watch the video you're in?" So everyone's looking at me as I'm sitting there showing him the phone. And I showed him, and he was so happy. He's like, "This is amazing." And even he knew it was all about the awareness of being homeless. And I mean, his story, he's it's not to do with drugs. It's not to do with domestic violence. He literally, he had a bit of bad luck, ended up living with his mum. And then I don't think his mum, they were struggling to live together. He's older now, and then what happened? He actually had his tools stolen for work, and he said, life just spiraled. Yeah. He was a chippy, a carpenter. He said, once my tools were taken, he said I couldn't go to work, and I was borrowing from this one, borrowing from that one, sofa hopping, and in the end, the best thing he could do was live on the street, and that's where he is now. And it's sad, there's roughly 320,000 people on the streets in the UK. There's millions across the world. And, when Marc has been putting these campaigns out there, I have seen, there's so much support, so much love for what he's doing. Of course, you're going to get some negative comments as well. And these people are saying, why would we put money into your campaign when we could give it to a homeless person, and yeah, you're right if that's your opinion, but Marc is actually, there's a lot of money going to homeless charities. The homeless charities are behind this film. Mm-hmm. But I think they were kind of at a risk. Where is it happening? Is it not happening? Because it's took such a long time to happen. They've kind of just took a bit of a back seat. But now it's complete. I just know that they're homeless. It's sad, and I don't think it's ever going to end. And I'm just glad that Homeless Ashes is out, or is coming out. And so when people see it, I think they're going to look a bit differently at homeless people, because every homeless person, whether it's man, woman, child on the street, there's always a story. Yeah. Story behind these people, and what is their story? Their story isn't always drugs, always alcohol, they're human beings like us. But they've just had a bit of hard luck, and it could happen to any of us, and that's what we've always got to remember, and just try and keep on top of our game. It must be hard out there,
It is one of the reasons that when we saw Homeless Ashes, we saw the crowdfund go live, and we saw what Marc was doing. And I kind of already knew Marc a little bit from Tom Payton's movie Pandorica. He was in that as well. So I saw him in that.
Yeah.
I saw him in that, and I was kind of like, right, Marc's kind of on my radar now. And then I saw that Homeless Ashes was coming up, and I was like, this young lad, he's essentially still a young director making his way, is putting everything on the line to make a movie that potentially a lot of people are just going to be like, a movie about homeless people? No, you're all right. I'll not bother. I'll go and see Dumbo, you know. But they should be seeing this, and he's stuck to his guns, and he's made this film. It looks amazing, and the cast he has is phenomenal. Like,
yeah, he's done crazy. He's done so well. He's done so well with every part of it.
Every time he puts up like a new cast member, or a new cast member goes on IMDb or something, like, I'm like, how the hell? You know, this crowdfunded movie has snowballed into something extremely important, but just it looks like it's going to stand the test of time as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're going to, on the 4th of May, as I said, we're going to be there. We're going to see it for the first time. I know Marc's seen it probably hundreds of times, as well as the editing guys, but unfortunately that's their jobs. They're probably sick of it. But yeah, we'll see it, and we'll be able to, you know, think about what we've seen and what we think. But I've just got this mad feeling that there's something special about to drop.
It looks,
you know, with these indie films, you never know where they're going to go. You know, it could turn into a little bit of a classic. You know, as I say, there's people all over the world wanting to see it. It's there on Twitter, it's there on Instagram, it's there. Or I'm not on Facebook, but it's there. You know, and everyone's asking questions. So who knows? Who knows? And it's quite. I've got to say, out of all the projects I've ever done, this is one of the most exciting for the simple facts. The story of how long it's taken to do. Yeah. What one man has achieved, really. And nobody knows the journey that this film is going to go on. It's really exciting.
To think as well, the movie's been 4.5 years in the making, and you did your stuff way back at the start, you know?
Yeah, I've done it a long time ago. People probably won't even recognise me, which might be a good thing. But I did do it a long time ago, and I'm sure, I don't think Hector's going to be at the screening because of the age and stuff. But I know that eventually, when we see Hector, he's going to be a lot taller, a lot bigger. You know, everyone would have changed in their own ways. I know Marc Zammits had a haircut, which I'm sure he was happy about.
Finally.
For 4 years, he'd had to have long hair and a beard. But yeah, it's I'm really looking forward to it now. It's so close. It's took so long, and it is so close now. So fingers crossed.
It was quite funny because we did see Marc at Comic-Con late on last year. He was doing he was helping out a friend on one of his booths, and he just happened to say that he was there. We were there. It was down London. We were like, Christ, finally we're going to get the chance to go and meet him. Let's go and see him. And we walked over, and you're right, he didn't have the long hair. He didn't have the beard. And it was like, nah, that's not Marc Zammit. Just about walking past him.
Yeah, no, he looks totally different. He's just had new headshots done. He looks quite well, actually.
Yeah, he does. He looks great right now.
He looks quite well.
So how is, obviously we've touched on it a little bit as we've went on, but this must be, as we say, you did your stuff right back at the start of the shooting and all that. So this must be a really sweet feeling for this. Like you say, the excitement, just...
Yeah, as I say, it's whenever you finish a project, you know, normally you've got 6 months, within a year, should we say, before you're at the screening, you're with the cast, you're having a few beers, you're having a laugh, you're watching the film, you're enjoying the film or hating the film in some circumstances, but it's happening. It's ready to go, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
How low down do you think in your seat you're going to be during your scenes? Looking around to see if people are watching you.
Yeah, you do, don't you? It's really strange when you're on the big screen. It's strange to kind of look around and think, oh, everyone's judging me right now. Oh, he's a good actor, he's a bad actor. But no, it's I'm going to be pretty low down. And as I say, when I've done the ADR, I watched it, and as I say, it's probably my most powerful work I've ever done.
Nice.
So that's another reason I'm really excited for it. If I can say that without being too big-headed. But yeah, Marc gave me the opportunity. In the acting game, it's it's very tough, and I have found it tough, to be fair. I've come from musical theatre and theatre where everyone's a lovey, everyone will help everyone out, and you all look out for each other, and you're all happy when your friends are doing well. And in the acting game in this country, you do have huge quiet times, but the film game in this country is really tough, backstabbing and there's a lot of craziness behind it all. But as I say, Marc has created this family with Homeless Ashes, and I'm proud to be part of it, and I'm excited. I've not stopped smiling every time I think about it.
I'll tell you what, you've got me excited, and I'm just sitting here like, oh man, we're going down there in 2 weeks. I can't wait to see this film. Like, Chris and I are both already excited because, like we say, we've been following it all this time, and since we started following it, I've seen Angela in a couple of things, and Angela's she's such a great actress. Like, I really, really like Angela's stuff. She never fails to. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she puts 100% into everything, and there's emotional scenes for her in the film, and watching. It's always nice when you work with actors, and you can kind of you watch how they get into their roles, how they get into their characters, because everyone does it differently. There is no set way of doing something. And watching Angela, and this is what I mean with Hector, they have some powerful scenes together, mum and son, and watching them two get into character, fantastic, and it's a really good experience, and she's great. Angela's great. Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, you've got me pumped. I'm really excited to come down and see this, and like I say, it's Star Wars Day, so I'll already be celebrating that. Get to celebrate watching this movie, and then a few beers, so that's all good.
Absolutely, that'd be cool.
But I'm going to let you go in a moment.
Okay.
But before
I've got Easter eggs to eat here. You know that. I've got some Easter eggs out there. They're waiting for me. I can't believe I've not opened them yet.
But before I do, another cheeky little movie I want to ask you about. You touched on it a couple of minutes ago. Recently had the premiere. We were invited down. We couldn't make it. 24 Little Hours. How's that looking?
Oh, that looks awesome.
Yeah.
Paul Knight. He's a really nice guy, a really good guy. And I was at a screening with him, and we was talking about 24 Little Hours, and he said, I've heard you're a bit of a diva. He said, but I've got something little in the film I can give you, if you want it. So I said, Paul, you know me, mate, I will. And I got to work with him, and I got to work with his team, Richard Oakes as well.
Yeah, Richard, yeah.
And Paul's wife, Diane, really nice lady. And they was actually working on Homeless Ashes one of the days that I was filming.
Nice.
Helping Marc out, because they've known Marc for a long time. But even those two guys, Diana and Paul, I've never met another filmmaker that promotes all the other indie filmmakers and actors as much as them two. They are off the hook, off the chain, off the scale, and they really do, and they show so much support, and they're great people. But 24 Little Hours with Chris Johnson. What an actor, fantastic actor. There's Neil Ward, who's good friends with Richard Oakes. There's a great cast. Daniel Midwinter, brilliant. And Mark Bannerman. They got a good group of guys together. The kind of guys that if you had them in the group in a pub, you wouldn't go and have a beer with them. But they come together in that film as a little firm. And it's a cracking little indie film, and Paul done really well with it, and it was made in 8 days. Yeah,
we've had Paul on the show, and we were talking about landscape, and he was coming up to 24 Little Hours, and man, he was like, yeah, we're going to do it in 8 days. Got 30 locations, 8 days, all these different actors. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening, mate.
Yeah,
but they did it.
Yeah, I mean, and he done it. I don't think there's many people out there that could. I'm sure when you say to people, it's an indie film made in 8 days, you're probably thinking, I'm going to watch this and it's going to be absolute carnage.
Yeah.
But actually, it's really good. And as I say, when you've got strong actors, Chris Johnson, Mark Bannerman, Danny Midwinter, all those guys, Neil Ward, and everyone else that's in the film, they've done well. It was cast well. So you can't really fail when you're using the guys that they use. So they've done well. Yeah.
Well, Dean, this has been absolutely fantastic. I've enjoyed speaking to you. It's great having you on. The first of the Homeless Ashes marathon, shall we call it. Before you go, one last time, just pimp out the movie a little bit, pimp yourself out a little bit, and then we'll say goodbye and wrap it up.
Okay, so guys, I'm sure you've seen it on social media so many times. If you follow Marc Zammits, the director, he also stars in it. He's done everything. Put the campaigns out there, you name it, he's doing it all. No, thanks for the support, all the backers that have backed it. We can't thank you enough, because without you guys, this film wouldn't have been made possible. And everyone else that's retweeted, liked, shared, shown people, it's much appreciated. And we promise you're going to see something very special real soon. And I look forward to you all seeing it.
Oh, I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
And where can people find Dean Maskell?
Where can you find me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in a hiding spot right now. Where can you find me? What do you mean, where can you find me? That scared me.
Are you on the social medias or anything? Where can people check out?
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, I was a bit worried then. I was like, I'm seeing the action right there. Instagram, Twitter. Don't use Facebook. That's a mad website.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm on there. So yeah, just
Facebook's a crazy.
give us a shout.
I'm really not into
Sorry?
Facebook right now. Facebook's like a crazy mad beast right now.
Yeah, I started on it years ago, but it just spiraled out of control with some of the mad content and stuff, and I just had to get away. So I've done that. I know you get all that on Twitter and Instagram, but you have to look for it if you want to see it there, where in Facebook it's kind of thrown onto your feed.
Right.
If you don't want to see it.
Dean, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've absolutely adored speaking to you. Can't wait to see this movie, and I'll be buying you a pint at the bar.
I'll be buying you one too. Not Chris, he's on the water.
I was going to say I'll make Chris do it, seeing as he's not here. He can buy them. But honestly,
Nice one.
we can't wait to see this movie, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
In a world of heroes, villains, 6 British actors will come together to play Pathfinder. It's sort of like D&D, but also really not like D&D. Join Falter.
I immediately regret this decision!
Caragor.
Oh, I see you, Kenneth.
Velda.
Behold my arcane powers!
Shania.
Yes, I've cracked the case!
M.
No, kill him.
And the Dungeon Master, for an actual play podcast that takes adventure seriously. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and from DangerClubPodcast.com. Danger Club, let's roll. God, doing that voice hurts.
Yeah, cracking interview. The man was so open and honest with a lot of things. We kind of got a little bit serious when it came to talking about some of those more intense scenes. But you know what? Dude had to go through and he had to do all that. And as he says, there's the little boy Hector who plays young Frankie was an absolute trooper as well, dealing with some of these scenes and everything. The next episode, part 2 of the mini marathon, which will be coming tomorrow night, is actually with Hector. Hector is a young child actor. I was nervous as hell to speak to him about Homeless Ashes because, he's the youngest guest we've ever had. I've had my daughters on before, but that's totally different. That was like, they were guests. They're guest hosts. They weren't really guests. But you'll hear that interview as well. Hector is amazing. And then we have one of the producers coming on because, like I say, I wanted to vary it up a little bit. So we've got David Friedman coming on. We've got another actor coming on. We've got a couple of actors still to go. But I don't want to give it all away yet. I don't want to do spoilers. I want don't spoil the 365 podcast. So I want everybody to keep listening. And these episodes are going to be nice and short. They're not going to be too long, just bite-sized episodes for you to consume on your lunch break. But so that was Dean Maskell. Absolutely loved speaking to the dude. He will be on again soon. I can't wait to see his performance in the movie again. May the 4th. We are going down to London to see this movie. Cannot wait to see what Marc's done. So I'm just going to leave it there and come back for part 2.